Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win, even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, creeps the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. In the glass, risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rise. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win, even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win, even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, creeps the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, I'm in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I will load, I play to win, even if I lose it all again.
Good morning, guys. How's it going? Let's pull up the chat here. Sec here, guys. Just gonna pull this up over here. Oh yeah, today's giveaway day, and we got quite a few things to prepare for the charts. All right, popping up the chat now. There we go. Who we got? We got in the chat here. We got Noah, Wayne, Ramus, Coma. How you doing, man? Unnamed Ghost Hunter, Josh, Doffy Bull, Grayson, Dax. Cal, where'd you get this bumper music? So it was a combination of I wrote the lyrics, then I got AI to basically like perform the song. So I think it was Sora. Yeah, Sora AI was what I used for the sound and stuff like that. And you can be really specific. You can like write down like what notes you want them to play and stuff like that. It doesn't always pan out that way. I think it was about 20 plus different like songs before we came up and chose that one. But I plan on making a music video and stuff for it, so it'll have its own video so you guys can listen to it on like separately if you like. Block Party, Sterling. How you doing, Sterling? Diamond Palm. Big Chiz in the Mother Loving His. What's up, man? Teddy, how you doing, bro? Master, Axel, Woods. How you guys doing? I want to send a song to my brother. All right, cool. I can get that done sooner rather than later then. I can get that focused on. I was wondering why the song sucked. Yeah. Thanks, man. All right, cool. Let's get into the charts. Okay, so we have let's double check on this. 15 into 45 orbs here. There we go. So we got a 15-minute orb here. We got a test onto our demand zone that we got marked here. So this is an area where you could expect maybe like a shorter term move up. We'll see what happens. So we get like a bullish change of character here. I'm thinking we might actually just hit our heads maybe at this moment here, at this downtrending momentum, the ceiling of the orb, or even sooner at the VWAP and the floor of the orb. So I'm expecting for us to like get like a smaller bounce here until we get an actual like break of this downtrending momentum. You know, let's check here, guys. I keep pressing the wrong keypad here. There we go. There. Okay. So yeah, smaller move here. I'm expecting a larger move if we get down here, just because of the fact that there's a decent amount of liquidity in this demand zone here that starts at 93,300 within this zone. And our previous value area low, that's like a 97-day previous value area low, is just below that at 93,191. So I'm looking for a reaction either off the ceiling of this area, but I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we at least mitigate it down to 93,300. I'll pull up the heat maps just so you can see what I see. Now when I go to, before I pull up the heat maps, if I'm looking for a zone of liquidity that I find that might be important, I need to use this measurement tool on the left-hand side, and it will show me basically how much time has passed since the start of the range. So if I'm interested in knowing the liquidity that's surrounding this range, I need to have a time frame that at least wraps around this. So you can choose like the 3-day or the week, I recommend taking a peek at both. So you can see any of the newly added liquidity on the 3-day. And we see we got some that starts at 93,310 for about 125 million. But if we go over the past week, we can see that there's some added prior to that time. It's stacking more value than it's suggesting on like the 3-day. So it's about $200+ million worth of liquidity at that green box zone down here in the form of liquidations, and likely also in the form of stop losses from below this low. So when we come down there, that could be used as entry liquidity for large traders who are trading with a large amount of funds. They depend on large amount of liquidity so they can get in, not necessarily unnoticed, but without a crazy amount of slippage that could end up hurting their position. So these are good key areas to watch, because this is where our market maker would watch for their entry position. Right? There's a good chance that we saw some of them exit here when we had this SFP and we tapped just below that 6-hour order block and started this downtrend. So this low here and this low here could induce a range as a form of support where we can see Bitcoin consolidate here for a bit. The longer Bitcoin consolidates here, the healthier and the higher probability of us getting a continuation, because we'll be stacking more and more buy-side liquidity above us by doing that. All right, so I'm looking for a longs today, either at this zone for a short-term move or at this zone for hopefully like a longer-term move back up to this high here, this unclaimed high. But I am being mindful of this zone as an area of interest that could also cause some resistance. We have a 97-day previous point of control, and that's at 96,850. And we have a 15-minute order block overlapping that area. So we have two forms of confluence that could drive price down. So the only thing that would be lacking is structure agreeing with us with a bearish change of character, and then it would tell us to get out. But that is Bitcoin. So yeah, basically preparing for a little move here or a better move here. This will be a better setup. You just sit on your hands and wait for the structure to get down here. It doesn't mean we have to get down here. If we see a large buy order that could be protecting it, like that, it could be possible that we get front run this area as well. And the way to find out if there's going to be like a front run buy order like that, you could look at the order books. CoinGlass changed their order books, and not for the better, in my opinion. I think that the new version is not as visually friendly. You can't you can see the walls like with these giant spikes, but when it comes to trying to like get your mouse isolated on top of like the price point, I find it kind of difficult to get to it. But yeah, these will show you where the walls are if there's a lot of buyers interested in a certain area. And we can see that we got a little bit of buyers interest at 93,870. A lot of buyers interest down here. These people are asking for a bit too much. So yeah, I've got some buyers like basically trying to limit order their way in around here. Like 3,850. Yeah, right about here. Got some limit buy orders here. So I think we could fill those buy orders and still wick down. We got all that buyer's interest already waiting. Grab that liquidity and then run. What do we got in the chat? Okay. See here. Zooming in helps, yeah. Okay, let's get this going. You guys want to look at some other altcoins here? We know what we're playing for Bitcoin, so we can use that confluence and positioning to help us with any altcoin setups. So if you're preparing if you're seeing Bitcoin's looking like it's getting ready to jump into like a bullish zone like this, you should also be looking at any altcoins that you prefer to trade that have a lot of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin. So you can use it as confluence for your altcoin setup. It's good to have Bitcoin agree with you, because you do not want Bitcoin, going down when you're entering along on your altcoin setups, because Bitcoin's kind of king in this space. And the sooner you realize that, the happier you'll be. Looking like Sol failed 144 again, says Andrew. Let's take a peek at Solana. Okay. All right, so last time we were peeking at Solana, we were talking about this is a bearish zone here that we don't want to have broken. We expected support at 144 because of the amount of resistance that it imposed on us. It looks like we built a head and shoulders off of that area though. So rather than getting us a higher high, which we really badly needed, I said that a lot in the last live, that we need that higher high to validate this as a proper support bounce off of the 144 level. But unfortunately, we failed to create that higher high. We had a bearish change of character right here, and then we ended up losing momentum, lost a key level, and then came back down to our previous point of control at 144. And you're right, we just used it as a form of resistance. So we have this moment here where we came down, retested, got the lower low. That's validating it as a form of resistance again. And then we came up to retest it again, and then we had this horizontal support form against this previous high. Just recently lost it and the VWAP. So good confluence for a short, and you'd be targeting this low while being mindful of the order block that was here. But yeah, I get it, man. The good news is that it is looking like it's positioning itself for a potential move back up. We can mark some key levels on Solana. We are literally just bouncing off one now. We have this little demand zone here, order blocks created here in the 30-minute and the 50-minute time frame, and we just got that bounce. But we are coming up to test this previous low, and right here, and this uptrending momentum as a potential form of resistance that could bring us back down. But we're building some buy-side liquidity above us. We had the supply zone here, which helped induce this pullback as well. But it almost all fully mitigated. We had a 5-minute order block that would have basically, if we went through the ceiling of this order block, we would have fully mitigated the supply concern. So the next time we come up, we might hit our heads a little bit, but it's significantly weaker than it was before when we built this range. So if we do a return back up here, we want to see, a retest of this previous high, and it does come with the confluence of that previous point of control, and that would likely, drive things back up. So I wouldn't be too concerned, man, just because of the fact that structurally right now we're starting to stack more liquidity above us, and eventually Solana's going to want to come after that, right? So let's delete this. This is no longer going to help us with any setups. We can keep this wick level alarm here in case we SFP at 148. It'd be a good spot to prepare for a short-term short. I can delete this. Let's get this momentum drawn. At the pace of the sellers. Right, you want to try to get as many. You're drawing your trend lines. Your goal is to try to get as many connection points as possible. 2 is great, but 3 is the trend. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touch points there. So when you're tracking the pace of the sellers as price action approaches this area, you can watch Solana's exchange order books to see if there's a large sell wall that could induce a pullback. If there's no sell wall, then you know that trend line is likely not going to be honored as a form of resistance from anyone with limit orders. It doesn't mean we won't have people exit with market orders, but so let's mark up this chart here. We got this demand zone here, It's almost fully mitigated, unfortunately. We're getting that initial bounce off of it. But based on Bitcoin's positioning and where we want it to go, unless Solana has some relative strength, meaning like if Bitcoin drops down here, you would want to have Solana to slow fall. If it slow falls, then it has relative strength, right? So this could be a demand zone where it would slow fall to when Bitcoin comes down to that liquidity zone, right? And then as Bitcoin approaches this area and we have that bullish change of character, then we can use that confluence to prepare for an entry for a long in Solana. Now, if Solana fast falls and we get that break of structure here, then we have to look for a key level that could still coincide with Bitcoin's high liquidity zone. And like this is a good demand zone right here. And it starts at like 138.53, and we get that 32-day previous point of control in case we dip down below to grab liquidity from these lows, right? So either this green box zone or worst case scenario, this 136.97 zone at the previous point of control could give you a confluence bounce with Bitcoin's high liquidity zone or block demand zone here. But I hope that helps you out. But yeah, for Solana, it's either you're in a short and you're preparing for a exit warning, or you're sitting on your hands and you're waiting for the long conditions to be met. I'm thinking right now, like based on its current positioning, like it could go as high as this VWAP at 142, but then hit our head and come back down. Now we can delete this. We don't need this anymore. We could add it to 2 levels. We need to have a red box zone right here where there's a pooled liquidity and an order block. Send short, send it back. And then I'd like to have a red zone here with this 5-minute order block, residual supply concern, and 252-day previous point of control. This guy's been a pain in the butt for a while, so this is going to be your main barrier concern going up right here. When you're below 144 on Solana, it should always be a part of your exit plan. It's a big pain in the butt. And I can zoom out one more time for anyone who's new to watching. I know we say it a lot here, but yeah, this level comes from this 252-day range. It was the point of control of that range where most of the traders' interest was, and acts as a really strong level of support and resistance. And since we're below it, it gives us the opportunity to see it act as resistance again. We grab the liquidity from this high here, so it makes a lot of sense to see that being used as exit liquidity, especially after having this crazy run up that we just had, right? We got to rest a little bit before we can expect it to run. And we also have a daily order block with the ceiling of that 32-day point of control too. So I'd say wrap this around a little lower just to include that data. This would be a great area of confluence for longs, like 137 area right here, if we make our way down. Okay, so that's Solana. I hope that helps you out, man. Going back to the 15-minute on the Solana chart. So if anyone uses it inside the Discord, anyone who wants to use this chart, you can go to our Discord and just type in !charts, and then it'll show you all the links to my TradingView charts, and this one being one of them. I usually keep it on a time frame that I'm most active in. But if you see it in a lower time frame, like the 3 or 5, it usually means I'm actively looking at that chart, preparing for a potential setup. Okay. What's next? We got quite a bit of requests today. So we have, let me pull up the chat. ICP, Cardano, Caspa, XRP. Cool, okay. So let's look at Internet Computer first. I haven't looked at Internet Computer in a while. I learned a harsh lesson from Internet Computer a while back during its ICO to not participate in ICOs. ICP. I thought we had a chart for it, but I guess not. I can pull up on the Binance chart and zoom out on the daily here. So we have a couple things to update on here because we haven't looked at it in a while. It came all the way down to $1.17. It's hard to believe that this guy launched. It had a low liquidity launch, so it had crazy moves. It brought its price action all the way up to like 2,800 at one point. But yeah, it's been in like a forever downtrend ever since. We had this moment where we went strong for a bit, but it was an unsustainable climb. So we retraced and took it all back down to this demand zone. This demand zone is what held us up for a long time and created this range, a strong area of interest. So now this range is going to be a barrier concern because anyone who accumulated within that range after we retest it are likely planning their exits right now. That's why usually valley areas act as a form of resistance when we approach them. All the buyers that got in here at these lows or maybe even at these highs are getting out after getting back at their break-even point. So I'm going to adjust this so it includes all the proper data up until the moment where we had the confirmation that we were going to go down. Right when we leave a valley area, the big warning sign that we're going to be leaving and trending is just simply a retest and then a higher high. And then you can look for other conditions as well that could tell you that we could be ranging. I mean, yeah, could be trending soon, but yeah, before, look at this. Oh my God, it's nuts. So let's get this all lined up. So ICPs now. Remember, like when we talked about unsustainable pumps over here, we keep having them. We had another one here, and you can see we took all of that back as well. And the behavior that we're dealing with right now as we speak is same vibes, man. Fair value gaps galore. We do have a great demand zone here, 50-day EMA. So if we see any lower time frame structures telling us that we're going to come down, which we can look at right after I'm done this, this would be your key area of interest for preparing for longs again. We got the pace of the buyers on the daily right here. We can mark our daily order block right here. And you should mark your previous highs as well. I like to mark them as like local support or a local resistance if we're in a trend in the opposite direction. All right, send this to back. And then, there we go. So this zone starts at $3.24, right? And then this previous high is at $3.57. So these are going to be two areas of interest you can watch for potential longs. This comes with the confluence right now with likely, depending on if we do come down here, the timing could align with the momentum and the 50-day EMA. Now let's zoom into lower time frames and see what kind of picture it's painting. So we had our first warning sign here when we had this internal, let's see, we've got a flip on the hourly. And it was its neckline where we had this descending double top was in line with the 50-day, the 200-day EMA. So it's trying to get acceptance above the 200-day EMA while trying to also break into that valley area. See if we have any lower time frame stuff here. All right, there's our previous high that we marked with this green line. You see in lower time frames, we got clear structure representing a form of demand. Whenever you see like these impulse moves up, the base of structure, impulse move up, you watch it as a form of demand. When we return back to it, there could be residual buy orders, especially when there's order blocks, that can induce price action to come back up. We can see that we're starting to stack some liquidity below us. And that's usually an early warning sign. We could be fractalizing, so we have this descending double top forming here. We had a tweezer reaction, building another larger descending double top. So if the story keeps repeating, we could lose this neckline and then come back down here and prepare for our longs. We can mark our hourly bearish order block here as well. Send it back. And there's our key level right here that we do not want to have broken unless you're looking for a short or a warning or a continuation warning sign, right? So if you're already in a short from this reaction or the opposing tweezer top reaction, because structurally a lot of traders look for that as well at key levels, right? So you could be this is a good entry criteria. This is great entry criteria for a short. So this is what you would want to have happen: a break of this low, retest it, have access resistance, and then you'd be preparing for your exit plan around here. And this is the 15-minute structure. It's pretty transparently bearish too. So right now, you first have to assume that this is going to be acting as a form of support when we get to these levels. So you look for bullish changes of character. Our next bullish change of character would happen if we broke this high right here. It would be internal to this low and this high. But if we do get that change of character here, you got to watch immediately it likely coming down at this hourly order block and VWAP resistance. If we get a lower low, then our key level is going to change to where the most recent pullback, proper pullback is. So pathing, if I were to draw pathing for you, it would look a little bit like this. A break of this low, retest, prepare for longs here. A break of this high, likely come back down to here. If not, we break right through that. This is our next zone of interest. If we look at the 30-minute time frame, we got a bearish order block here in confluence with that previous value low. Now, macro picture, what you really want to see with ICP is acceptance into this value area. If we get acceptance to this value area, it might not happen right away. It's going to act as a really strong barrier at first, similar to Solana's 144 level. So getting acceptance into here would likely get us a rotation to at least $5.61. And then you can look to the left to see if there's any opposing barriers that could, make us struggle to get there. Like, for example, the supply concern here, hourly order block at point of control. So price action getting into here would likely look like us hitting our head off that point of control before finally getting a higher high and then going after that previous value area high. But you got to definitely assume that value area high as a strong target to take profits. Don't get too bullish, because historically it's a key area of interest where people like to take some gains. And we delete this. This has been fully mitigated thanks to that giant spike up. And this can become an area of concern for shorts longer term. Okay, so that's ICP. I hope that helps you out. I recommend just taking a quick screenshot because I don't have an ICP chart. I could always just clone it. Let me just make a copy. Call it ICP USDT. there. And I'll have this added to the chart command later tonight. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Oh, by the way, if this breaks, I wouldn't enter this as a long. Your stop loss guard will be way down here. So your risk to reward ratio to that opposing barrier will be pretty rough. If anything, just use this as consideration to maybe take some off the table if you're in any short-term local shorts. Okay, going back to Bitcoin. See how Bitcoin's price action is looking. Still slowly climbing up towards that 15-minute orb block and the orb here. Out of time. Liquid grab and go and down and up. Yeah. Let's do the giveaway right now, and I'll go through the next requests here for you guys. So I have the giveaway system already. Looks like somebody already said the word giveaway, so you're already logged in. This is the way how I'm going to do it going forward. What are my thoughts on Litecoin? I can go over that right after the giveaway here for you, man. I've got a lot of thoughts on Litecoin. Litecoin's just bounced off a 2,600 day support level. So pretty excited to see what comes from it. All right, Wayne, you're entering into the giveaway. Anyone who's new here, who has never been entered into the giveaway, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is say the word giveaway. In order to speak in the chat, you just got to be a subscriber. It's free to subscribe. So if you subscribe to the channel, you get to have access to type in the word giveaway. And this giveaway is a $6,000 account from Klein funding. And I'd like to also do a giveaway for like a free month to InvestiShare. All right, so we got Daxed, we got Jay Becker, Bears Jacob, Wayne, Mac is in here, Block Party, Mikey's in here, Remus, Sterling Man. If you win, I gotta take away that W from you, bro. Andrew, Cameron, Jeet, Axel, Sophia, Austin, JR, what's up, man? Richman's in here. G-Takak, I can't pronounce that. Richman, you're in. Barb, you're in. Barbalicious. Russell, you're in. RVC, YouTube, you're in. TNB, you're in. Grayson, you're in. Yeah, if you see your name on this list, you're in here. I'm going to give it about, I'll give another like 10, maybe a minute or so. But yeah, while you guys are saying the word giveaway, let's go through the other requests, and then we'll find a winner. All right, so we had a request to look at ICP. We did that. We went through Solana, went through ICP, went through Bitcoin. We have a request to look at, where'd that list go? I just saw it in chat. Cardano. So let's take a peek at Cardano. Cardano's been a little slippery fish lately. All right, so we're looking at a bearish move the last time we were looking at Cardano. We wanted to break this key level, right? After hitting our head off of this or supply concern up here. So when we got up there, yeah, we got that opposing change of character, unfortunately, and then it came back down. And this is the demand zone that we were watching for support. We did get a decent support reaction initially after getting here, but we failed to get that higher high, maintain this momentum, and it got back below the 50-day EMA and ended up using this 27-day previous point of control as a form of resistance in confluence with that. So it ended up coming down, and we mitigated the whole demand zone. And we came down, retested the local resistance level that we had marked. And it also kind of came with the confluence of retesting these previous lows. So that was kind of coincidental in my opinion. It was more so just a target to retest this area. And any residual sell orders were likely filled. So now we can delete this. We can delete this as well. We can mark our momentum. We have broad momentum here. And then we have evolving momentum right here. So this basically tells us the story that the pace of the sellers are kind of speeding up. And that usually ends up happening after we lose a key level. So here when we came up to retest these previous lows, we came down, we got acceptance into this valley area again. It basically told us the story that once we got the acceptance in the valley area that we're likely going to go down to the valley area low while being mindful of the point of control, right? We used that as a form of support a little bit, but then ended up losing it this morning. And now we're grabbing liquidity from these lows on Cardano. So this is technically a good spot to prepare for longs. We're retesting a previous high, valley area high. And we are grabbing liquidity from basically the remaining liquidity from below this lows and this demand zone here. It looks like we might have SFP'd off the low of that demand zone. This is our wick level here that I'm talking about. So mark this low. Right, going to the right. Should also mark this low. And we got an SFP off both of them. So double SFP, swept 2 levels simultaneously, and both of them were confirmed as an SFP during this candle. The technical target for this 15-minute structure is on the most recent proper pullback, which is way the heck up here. It doesn't mean we're going to hit that. If anything, what I'll be doing in a scenario like this, whenever you have a technical target that just seems too far out of reach for your setup, then you got to look for opposing confluences to kind of ground your target, right? So we'll look left and we can see that we have our valley area data. We can mark this previous valley area low. And this would be a zone of interest that you prepare for accepting some gains off of that sweep. The reason being, we have the pace of the momentum and we get that valley area low, and these tend to act as a form of resistance when we get down below it. But the positioning is great. For anyone who knows the clairvoyant strategy from the course, we have that downtrending momentum. The positioning below the valley area or at the valley area low is a good spot to prepare for a long when you have a bullish change of character and a break of that momentum. In order for us to get a change of character below this level, though, we need to have a pullback that takes our existing low, and then we take the newly formed strong high to then target the valley area high, which is also a previous 27-day valley area low. So lots of confluence to hit our head, just like the last time we were here. So marking your valley area data points will be extremely helpful to keep you grounded when you have an insane target like that for a sweep, like a 15-minute SFP. We can take it in stages, but yeah, right now it's like this is gonna be a big barrier concern, and then we have this barrier concern right here. So that's Cardano. I hope that helps you out. But yeah, definitely in a spot where if you're not already in a long from the sweep, because that's a great spot to prepare for an entry. And the confirming candle on that SFP, for anyone who's new to SFPs, is this red candle right here. So you'd enter on the low or the close of that candle, and your stop loss guard or your invalidation point would be right below this wick. Your first initial target would be here, which is at a 1 to 1.82. You don't want to close too much here unless you see like a rough, like maybe a 3-minute bearish change of character. You see like a 3-minute bearish change of character, and maybe it'd close the whole thing, and then maybe wait for a re-entry down here, because that opposing change of character could lead to getting you stopped out. What you want to see is acceptance to this valley area, and then you'd definitely be preparing for an exit plan here. Then you would have the R&R that you'd need to be sustainable like longer term. You want to have at least that 1 to 2. But it's better to take a smaller gain at an opposing reaction than to let yourself take a loss. Okay, so that is Cardano. I would mark this as a big zone of interest for shorts as well. Send it back. And if we get past that, this place is the next best place. I wouldn't say the next, I would say better for shorts. This is much better for shorts at this area. Let's see if we have any Fibonacci confluence along the way up. This would be a good spot to prepare as well. More macro. But it's a good level to have in general. Very cool. All right, so that's Cardano. I hope that helps you out. This isn't a trade I took, so I'm just going to remove that there. Bitcoin's slow crawling. Let's take a look at the chat. Giveaway. Let's see what the giveaway is looking like right now. Well, you guys are savage. Okay, so we got a bunch of newly added in here. How much we have? We have 30 tickets in total. So we got 30 people added to the giveaway. If you still want to be added to the giveaway, all you gotta do is type the word giveaway, guys. We'll look at one more and then we'll take a peek. I would like to see Litecoin really quick. Jeepers, okay. That's not good. I thought I had an alarm off that. I guess my alarm didn't go off. Okay, last time we were looking at Litecoin, we were talking about resistance here and resistance here. We got our head hit. What would I just delete? I deleted something here. Okay, this was our long condition key level. This right here, why I feel a little concerned is it's giving me Polygon vibes now. And that's not good. That's not a good thing. Polygon lost its macro legacy support and then just died afterwards. And that's literally what just happened for Litecoin during this moment right here. When we came down on the hourly, hit our head off these previous lows and lost that uptrending momentum. If I zoom out, this is the story here. If we zoom out all the way back in December 2018, we used this legacy support level as support. We did have times that dipped down below. So I'm not saying that Litecoin's dead, but now we have to be on high alert for anyone who is holding Litecoin as part of their primary portfolio, because if we start losing some key levels, we could start seeing Litecoin come down like dramatically. This whole area right here is like a big macro valley area, so you can mark this to find some data points that we could to use to help discover where we could bounce from if we do come down lower. So we could pull a fixed range volume profile from the start of the supply that was mitigated up here to down here. So right now we're at basically what's labeled as the strongest point of interest inside this valley area. We're trying to use it right now as a form of support. So I'm going to make some adjustments on my chart here to make it a little more cleaner. We got our point of control. This is a valley area that's 1,436 days. So this is a pretty significant key level here. Okay, and we just mark our valley area low. Make sure I recommend typing in like how old their valley area levels are in case you have overlapping data. Like I do, I got tons of overlapping data. So it's good to help isolate that information. Okay. So in terms of like areas of liquidity, we only really have this, right? Because we had that October 10th crash kind of screw up everyone's charts, right? So around here and here are key areas. They don't essentially want to be come down. You don't want them to come down to, unless you're trying to accumulate Litecoin, then that could be a great spot to repair. But if we lose this level, yeah, we could fall down to as low as $60. And right now we're at $71.80. So you can dissect the price action here. This is a great spot to prepare for a buy, like spot buy. And structurally, at least on the hourly, is not great. What do we have in the... Oh, this is going to be internal now, too. Crazy wick down below. This is our current supply. Inducing this range. We have a 15-minute order block here. That's basically the remainder of the supply. Once that's fully mitigated, like we might hit our head here again, but the next time we hit our head and we take up this high, then all that potential residual sell orders from that order block could be filled, and then we can have a better chance of coming back up to these highs again and maybe spark an uptrend. But yeah, Litecoin's in a really important spot. We can monitor downtrending momentum. So the pace is kind of evolving momentum here. And this is our key level that we want to see have act as a form of support. All right. Locally, you can mark these wicks. Prepare for SFPs. The most recent SFP that occurred. Yeah, we had two local SFPs that occurred. One was right here, and one was right here, and both of them hit their technical targets. So see if we come back down here, if we'll get another sweep. Prepare for our bounce off the confluence of that point of control, and then take that SFP target and hopes that it converts into like an internal change of character and drives the price up further for you. But always take it to the local target, and then maybe leave a moon bag of like 25% after your stop losses in the profit zone. Can Bitcoin draw down to 90,000? Yes, yeah, 100% it can. It can even go down further. You should always assume that Bitcoin can go to like the worst levels in your mind, right? Never trade as if Bitcoin will never hit your stop loss or never hit your liquidation point. And it should always be trading with the stop loss. We have really strong key areas of confluence that tell us that $90,000 is protected and that we're not likely going to go down there. But honestly, all it takes is a full body candle close below like 93,000, and it tells you where your next area you're going to be falling down to, right? Likely the 50-day EMA, so a $1,000 drop to this. Losing that EMA and losing this demand zone, a close below here, we can start coming up towards the uptrending momentum at 90,000, 90,500. So like, there's lots of reasons. Like all it takes is just a few breaks of structure or full body candle closes for us to like lose $1,000 worth, in the price and come down to our next key area of interest. So always assume the worst and always trade as if it can come immediately against you. Always manage your risk as like it can immediately come against you if you want to be consistently profitable in this space. Let's do the giveaway. We got 36 people now in the giveaway. All I gotta do is go to draw page, and we'll find out our winner. I need to be prepared to see 16K. Yes, I don't think that would ever happen. In my personal opinion, 16K is likely not going to be hit. But it's good to have that mindset with any of your assets, you know. Okay, picking a giveaway. Winner. We got Sal Lou Kit Trader 9253. Congratulations, man. I'll send a screenshot here. You won a $6,000 account from Klein Funding. And then if for anyone who's new to prop fund accounts, there's very few out there that are safe to use. I know, like before Klein Funding, I always recommend Breakout, but I find Klein Funding is a lot more consistent, especially with their communication. So, yeah, Klein Funding is a good one. And it's a great way to get started as a trader after you've proven to yourself that you're profitable, because the risk with prop funding accounts is basically the startup fee, right? You have to pay like an entry exam fee, right? And that's your risk. So you can give them, like, I don't know, it can cost up to $250 for certain accounts, and then that becomes your risk. But if you don't want to be spending that money over and over and over and over again. If you're not profitable, you got to make sure, you're profitable, because there is drawdown rules and stuff like that too. Okay, so I'm just gonna notate the screenshot, and then we're gonna do a giveaway to join InvestiShare for a free month. Whether you're a member or not, it'll just be a wave of your month if you're a member. If you're not a member, then you get to try out all of our courses, calls, and signals. Let's sec here. Okay, so you got the 6K account. Winner. All right, let's see who wins a free month to InvestiShare. Mikey, I believe you are a member. So you're going to get a free month, bro. And Mikey, you've been on a rampage lately. You're doing great, bro. Anyone who deserves this W, it's you. All right, cool. So you got a free month for Mikey at 6393, and we got a $6,000 prop funding account for Saluki Trader. Sorry, I can't pronounce that one. All right, cool. Saw you on there, Grayson. Yeah. Grayson, you were in the list. Yeah, you're in the list. But yeah, every time there's a winner, there's an increased chance that you'll win next. You'll win next week, okay? So next giveaway is going to be on Friday. I'll see if I can conjure up any other stuff for giveaways on Fridays. Maybe build some more partnerships with other tool providers, indicators, and stuff like that. Okay. Let's go through the list here again, see what the next asset we should take a look at is. We went through Litecoin, Cardano, ICP, Solana, Bitcoin, and we have a request for CAS and XRP. So let's look at CASPA. I know we have a CASPA chart. There we go. Last time we looked at it, though, was on December 12th. Where is December 12th? Right here. So this is roughly around last time we were looking at CAS. It looks like we were preparing for an SFP potential sweep around here, and we still got a full body candle close, so that got invalidated. This was our supply concern that we had marked when we smashed our head off that, ending this short-term trend to the upside, and started a new downturn trend. We got that bullish change of character here, retest, higher high, warning us that we're going to come back up. At this point, you'll be drawing a new valley area, right? We have a supply concern here, tapped into it. So we have an aged valley area from this point to this point. And then here we'd have, broken momentum into the valley area. Looks like we got above the point of control of that structure. And then, we'd be targeting the valley area high at this point. Came back down to retest the point of control. And then we had a trend bound move back up to this supply. And then we tried to get acceptance into this valley area. This is a decent valley area too. It's 15 days old. We had this regression trend leading into it. These are big warning signs that price action is likely going to come down because divergence usually is formed. We pool liquidity below us, right? The order flow suggests that we're likely to come down and take that liquidity once you start seeing weakness, right? And this is our bearish change of character here during that moment. And then we came down and ended up hitting where you target with the regression trend. This is right here where it starts to go cold. And it looks like we got a continuation beyond that. So as we speak right now, we got acceptance back inside this valley area right here from this regression trend that kind of sparked the move to come down to take this liquidity. And you can see that during that moment, we retested the valley area high simultaneously. So previous valley area high. Let's mark this level as our previous point of control. And we got our previous valley area low here. Right? And good practice to label the time stamps on that. So 22 days and 4 hours is how long we've ranged within this area. So you can mark 22 plus day value area high. All right, now let's go and dissect this stuff here. So we have momentum here that we can watch. We can delete this. It's just noise now. Delete this. It's also noise now. Got pretty fast-paced momentum. So the pace of the sellers are pretty quick. How momentum helps for anyone who's new to using trend lines this way. Basically, it can be used as a guide to tell you to prepare to take some profits. So especially if you're newer to market structure. So this momentum is like the pace of the sellers. When we start breaching past that, it's usually not enough to just say like, I'm going to get out of my trade if we break past it, but it's just another form of confluence, right? Especially if you have a bullish change of character simultaneously while breaking that momentum, which could happen right here. Like we're at a point of control, a big area of interest. So if we get that lower low and we take out this high, we could have the confluence of breaking momentum, getting past this VWAP, and that bullish change of character to start targeting this valley area high again at 0.046 on CAS. So the pathing that I would like to see first before breaking that level is taking that low, the newly formed liquidity, and then coming up. And then when we break this level, you can prepare for it to come to here, where I expect for it to hit its head. We got supply behavior warning right here, inducing this pullback, and we got pooled liquidity here and a previous value high. So there's a good chance that we could hit our head here the first time around. If we don't get this reaction and we still get that break of structure and get below this point of control, then our next area of interest for longs is at this valley area low at 0.0422. So the front run opportunity that could happen here would be a lower time frame, like 15-minute SFP. You can get one lower, like the 5-minute. So that'll be the front run opportunity. If you take the front run trade, let's say we get the SFP, we sweep below this low, but the candle closes back above this wick, confirming an SFP candle, that we would target first the previous high, right? The most proper pullback, previous high, in hopes that we break it for that change of character for a continuation. But this will always be your first TP zone if you take this SFP. Unless the VWAP catches up, then you'd watch that as a barrier concern as well. That's CAS. I hope that helps you out, guys. It's looking good, good for a potential move up. This kind of behavior, you see this as liquidity, like a liquidity line. So you would anticipate that price action could, trend its way up to grab all that. But yeah, always assume that the barriers could provide you an opposing change of character first, and don't get married to your targets. Okay, let's chat. What's going on here? Have we did TA on Ethereum yet? No, we did a TA on Solana, CAS, Litecoin, Cardano, ICP, and Bitcoin. We can do Ethereum as well. Why would you mark the number of days on a value area? Days represent strength when it comes to value area data. So similar to looking at larger time frame structure, where you see, like say, a daily change of character, you're more likely to get larger portfolio trade participants on like swing traders, for example, on those breaks. The days in a value area represent strength. So if we're ranging in an area for 97 days versus one that was ranging for like 2 days, that value area low of the 97-day one is going to be much, much stronger than the 2-day one. I use that example because I'll show you here. So we have a 2-day value area structure right here, where we're basically just ranging for 2 days, where we had our demand zone, our initial demand zone here. We held it as support for a bit. We had an opposing change of character. Once you have a demand zone and an opposing change of character, you can start your pull, but it's an immature value area. You want to start getting more price action so you can trust the pull. And you can see that we kind of dip down below it a lot really easily, and then we end up losing this area. We can end up using it as a form of resistance, like we did right here, right? Like we did right here, for eventually getting acceptance, telling us a story of like where to prepare for next when it comes to key areas. Once you get acceptance into this value area right here, you'd watch the point of control, you watch the value area high. Once you get acceptance to the value area, you start targeting that value area high while watching for those barriers. But here, I'll show you how much influence the 97-day one has. You zoom out on like the 4-hour. Here's one from back in like November 2024, where we're ranging for 97 days. And here we use it as a form of resistance, had a massive crash, use it as a form of support, helping us target the value area high. Use it as support for another, let's see, 54 days. So we use that value area high as support for 54 days. Use it as support here. Had a decent bounce off of it as well. Support here. So they just create really strong key levels. And time creates strength, because the more time we are in a value area, the more trade participants accumulate at value area lows or at value area highs. So trap traders or investors will look for take profits at those key levels, stuff like that. I can rant about it for hours. Next request, we got XRP, XLM, Ethereum, and silver. Is that XAUG is silver? Yeah. XRP. I thought I had. Oh yeah, I do have an XRP chart. Last time we looked at it was on the 13th, so 3 days ago. What were we looking at 3 days ago? We had a couple key levels drawn. We had this volume shelf that we really wanted to see support off of, but we didn't hold that. You know, we never got the structural warning that we're going to get that move up. We have a volume gap here where price action tends to move really quickly. There's another way that value areas can help you in understanding price action behavior. Whenever you see a volume gap, you tend to have really fast price action in it, right? So we get whipped up really fast, whipped down really fast, whipped up, down, right? Up here again. A fast move down to demand, back up fast, down fast, right? It's all fast movements from the bottom of the gap to the top of the gap and vice versa, right? And we zoom out on this guy here. This is the gap I'm talking to you about, where we see what's called double distribution in a value area. It looks like a B structure. So that tells you the story that there's two areas of interest that we're arranging within inside of a larger range, right? So here, most of the range bound activity occurs, and then here, most of the range bound activity occurs, and this is where we move quickly in between it, right? And that helped manipulate the future price action over here. Fast moves in between it again. And now we're preparing at that point of control that was used as a form of support alongside with the confluence of this demand structure. And we're starting to mitigate the liquidity from below that area as we're tapping that point of control. So this is a good area of confluence to prepare for longs because of that. So these levels are a lot more helpful with time over top of it, right? Let's go to drawing this momentum. Well, we had a 4-hour order block here, but we mitigated it. Delete this, and delete this now too. We can zoom in on the 15-minute structure. We have that volume shelf floor be in line with a 15-minute order block. So that's good opposing confluence to prepare for an exit plan when you're in on any longs. So here's a good spot to prepare for an entry plan. We just need the structure telling us that we're going to go up. Right now, all we've got is a bounce. So if anyone's in on this, you're likely just catching the knife, unless there's an SFP for a good structural reasoning for jumping in. And I don't think there was a proper SFP here. No. Maybe off these wick level lows here. But if there was an SFP, and this is your technical target right here, but you'd kind of want to undercut that, knowing that there's a 15-minute order block and VWAP and downtrending momentum here, all guarding that location. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 different forms of guardians, not including previous lows, that could prevent that target from being hit. So I'm expecting for us to, if we do climb up this high, I'm expecting that this would be the absolute peak before coming down, where this VWAP is right here. What I'd like to see, maybe the local low taken. It doesn't have to be in the form of SFP, but if we get the SFP, even better. And then take this neckline from a double bottom and then prepare to ride it up down to that volume shelf. So pathing that I would like to see for me to want to jump in on that kind of criteria is a sweep here, close above here, and then prepare for the continuation for here to here. But we don't have a key level yet. Our current key level, unfortunately, is really high up. It's basically where the SFP target would be. Right? And we want to have that lower so we can have better risk to reward ratio, or else we're going to have to depend on after this breaks, depend on a pullback for a retracement level and enter in on that retracement level's low. So we can get the R&R to that target. But if you don't have any opposing structure here telling you to get out, what you would want to see is acceptance inside this gap. It's a form of break of structure. And then maybe we can see a fast-paced move up to that volume shelf high in confluence with this 15-minute order block and liquidity above this key area here. That'll be your next take profit key area. But this would be your primary exit plan right here. All right, so that's XRP. Hope that helps you out. Bitcoin's just chugging along very slowly. Bitcoin's kind of gave us like similar posture, except I like, if I were to pick between entering Bitcoin on a bullish change of character here or XRP with the bullish change of character here, I would pick XRP because its structure is a lot more clean and understanding where the opposing threats are in comparison to Bitcoin. So I'd take this one. We have XLM was next request, an ICO token, ICO 20022 token. Good one to watch for in terms of regulations between XRP and XLM. We don't have an XLM chart, so I'm just gonna pull it up here as a search. Go to Binance, draw down trending momentum here. We had demand here that was mitigated, barely a reaction off of it. Maybe a first initial bounce, and that's pretty much it. And a previous value low. We lost that. We can mark our wick level low. We had this big demand zone here. That's basically been fully mitigated. And we have another demand here. It's mostly mitigated as well. So I'd mark it to the mitigation level right here. Send it back. I don't recommend doing this with order blocks, by the way. Partial mitigations. But demand zones, I recommend it because you could still have residual buy orders waiting there. And just wait for the structure to agree. Get this marked. All right, let's zoom out on this thing, bigger picture. Okay, so here's another example of an older valley area helping us prepare for specific moves. So here we were range bound in this valley area for 404 days. So pretty significant level. When we got acceptance to this valley area in the lower time frames here, we just blasted right to the valley area high where we started seeing the expected resistance, right? Then we broke momentum at the valley area low, preparing for a target the valley area high. And the same thing, we have broad momentum here, break momentum here, and then start targeting the valley area high. It's a clairvoyant strategy rules is basically you're looking for a break of momentum and a bullish change of character so you can start targeting the opposite side of the valley area while always being mindful of supply structure and the point of control. Or if you're taking a short, you always be mindful of demand structure that get opposed against you, right? So we got, delete some of this noise. You don't need this. This was helpful in the past. It's not really helpful anymore. It's our broad momentum here. We have evolving momentum here. Try to refine this a little bit more. There we go. So you can see that we're starting to get squeezed in this large 400-day valley area at the low. I'm not sure if we'll come down and take this 15 and 96 wick level low from the October 10th crash. But we can see that we got accumulation structure, right? We got this left shoulder forming here on this potential inverse head and shoulders that we're kind of starting to build, right? It hasn't been validated yet. We need to break the neckline. It's a descending neckline. So we have to break this as a key level in order for us to have the technical target of that inverse head and shoulders. The technical target, we have, here's our support. Here, click, drag. Yeah, so if we came up and broke this higher high, I mean this previous high here, then we'd be targeting here based on the momentum of this structure so far. Yeah, clear supply problems there too. So yeah, here's where we prepare. Let's see if we can get a pull from this low to this high. We got golden pocket confluence here. We already had a reaction off of it. So we're looking for a sweep of that low and potential bounce to come up and take this high. But there's a lot of opposing threats along the way. The 50-day EMA, hourly order block. So you'd first expect a lower high in hopes that we break it instead for a continuation. All right, so that is Stellar Lumens. I hope that helps you out. If this area fails, we don't get that sweep and bullish change of character, and then you could get a bounce here. But we don't want to see this neckline act as resistance if we get below it, because then we come right back down to these lows. But Bitcoin's confluence alongside that, it does kind of suggest that we could get a decent long. So basically you're looking at Bitcoin's posture as we get closer to this level here, or if we get that bullish change of character here, and then you're going to look at your alts that you like to trade and see which one breaks in good confluence with Bitcoin's posture. Okay, Ethereum, next request. How's Ethereum doing? Ethereum's kind of the boss of the altcoins, especially ones with a lot of pairing liquidity with it. It looks like the last time we were looking at, we were preparing for hitting our head up here. We hit here, our head up here. Yeah, we ended up getting that break, change of character, and ran up pretty quickly. Got above the value area high, and we used it as support, warning us of a trend-bound move during this moment. Now we're getting that squeeze between the 200-day and the 50-day, which I always find really annoying. If you ever have this scenario, by the way, if you're looking for weaknesses with the clairvoyant strategy, this is one of them. If you have a value area that is like surrounding the 200-day and the 50-day EMA, you got to listen to the EMAs more than the value area data sometimes, especially the 200-day one. It has more weighted impact, especially when you have a squeeze event like this. We got downtrending broad momentum here. His posture looks really similar to Bitcoin's, except Solana structure suggests that we can come down lower if we get another follow-up break of structure here, down to here. And here's a good confluence because we got a 30-minute order block in there, we got a 15-minute order block in there, we got a 50-day valley area high here, and we got demand structure. So if we do get that lower low, I'm expecting for us to come down to at least here. So this is the pathing that I expect. You could get the SFP sweep alongside Bitcoin and then prepare for it to come up, but I expect weakness here. We got a little bit of unmitigated supply here, 200-day EMA, and downtrending momentum. But in my opinion, if you're looking for a better setup with that higher graded setups, be coming down here for a bullish change of character, and you start targeting the unclaimed highs, but in hopes that we break past the 200-day EMA and the momentum. Because we got a little bit more negative space away from that momentum than we do with most of the other alts. Okay. And then I think gold was the other request. I mean, no, not gold, silver. XAG USDT. Where are you guys trading XAG? So you got BitGet, Binance. It's on Blofin. Okay. And Blofin's my primary trading exchange. I prioritize security and reserves over fees. If you're looking for a safe exchange, I recommend Blofin. I got a link down below if you guys want to save 20% on your fees. So let's go to BitGet for silver here. Let's zoom out on this thing. So big macro uptrend here. Downsides, we are losing that uptrend. This is the pace of the buyers since January 8th, based on the listing date on BitGet. It's only the 7th of January. So this is newly listed. So we don't have historical price action to help guide us into potential key levels for shorts other than what we have locally here. We did lose momentum, so that is a big warning for us to come back down to our lower key levels. We had this large demand zone that helped hold us up. It's mostly mitigated. We had this previous highs here that can still hold us up. I'd recommend marking 3 key wick levels. One's more local. We got one here. We got one here. And we got one here. This will come with the confluence of testing previous highs. So we got local support here. Right, so this one I'd kind of prefer to be taken for a long. But here you might get a quick local SFP sweep to target the most recent pullback high. Based on our current posture, that is right here. So if we get the SFP, you'll be targeting this high. But if we get a 2 candle pullback, like we're say here, before coming down, then that would be the new target instead. Same thing with this level. Same thing with this level. Got lots of good demand zones. Let me just pull up in a larger time frame. So larger time frame order blocks take more money to create. So it's a better percentage chance of us having institutional involvement in this area. I think first is like a 15-minute order block. And we see we got to wrap around. That hourly wraps around the 30-minute, 15-minute, and another 15-minute. It's a good key level to watch. For now, this is also a barrier we can watch for support. So if you're not in an existing short position, like you're preparing for your exit plan around here when liquidity is taken and gives you that bullish change of character, and then we start targeting those highs again. Bearish 15-minute order block right here. It's currently got VWAP confluence and the momentum confluence. So that is silver. So like based on these wicks and its previous performance, like look at this. You got a perfect SFP here. And this is kind of what you look for when you have an SFP, right? First, you look to your target. So we came down and we create these wicks. Got a proper pullback during this moment with these 2 green candles. Generate this high. Came down, swept that liquidity, closed above this wick, giving us an SFP right here. You jump in on that trade, stop loss below here. You target this high in hopes that we break that so we can have a internal change of character, and then you start targeting previous highs and any supply concerns. And you look for a bearish change of character. So if you look for a bearish change of character after jumping on this SFP, you would have been able to hold this up until this moment right here. And then the next example This one doesn't have that great of a proper pullback, unfortunately, at least on the 15-minute time frame. But I'll be looking at this as our target. So the technical target would be here on this SFP. But if we be more realistic with ourselves, we've got previous lows here and a harsh rejection reaction here. But eventually that target was almost met. We're off by like 20 cents. So what I'm trying to say is basically with this asset is look for the same kind of scenario to occur. It looks like when liquidity is taken with this asset, we have an impatient moves back up. So look for a local sweep. We got a proper pullback here, and then target the most recent proper pullback, whether it be this one, which is the current one, or if we have 2 consecutive candle pullback before coming down, that'll be that one, right? In hopes that we get the change of character and lead back up. And this is our more broad momentum right here. And our evolving momentum here. So that's silver. All right. So that is pretty much everything, guys. I do got to head out. I'm working on a really cool project for you guys. I'm not going to spill the beans. I'm not going to leak it because I have a problem with like keeping secrets. So on when it's done, I'll let you guys know. But I'm aiming to get done by the 19th. But it's a tough project, so I don't know. I can't guarantee it. But yeah, I'm excited to show you guys. I'm really excited to show you guys. Okay, yeah, I gotta head out. You have yourself an amazing day. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. We're starting to grow. We're getting that back up there again. We have a new schedule next week. Next week we'll be doing every day will be YouTube lives at 10:30 a.m. instead of 11 a.m. Give us a little bit of an earlier start time, and we'll be a little bit inside the silver bullet period. So they're more likely to have higher volume during those times as well. So yeah, we're changing a lot of the schedule. So we have trade hunting calls at 9:15 a.m. From Tuesday to Friday, and then Monday we have with Brian, and then yeah, 10:30 a.m. is going to be the start time for YouTube lives, and every day. Super excited. Yeah, I just cleared some stuff up so I can do that with you guys. All right, guys, you have an amazing night. I'll talk to you soon. Reach out to me in the Discord if you have any questions or if there's a setup that you might be concerned about before entering. Like, I'm here for you guys. Whenever you need me, just shoot me a message. Have a great